First, the NCAA started off with a super league that would change the fabric of college football. Now the NCAA is back at it again, and now they want to get rid of one of the most important and most critical pieces of a roster in college football, the walk-on. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Lucas Hill here of SEC Unfiltered. Please do us a favor. Please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube page. Also follow us on every social media platform there is. We are proudly sponsored by our good friends over at Prize Picks. They are America's #1 fantasy sports apps with more than 3 million members. The most exciting way to get on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You could just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 with baseball, hockey, and college basketball. Entries today on Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Sign up over at prizepicks.com or download the Prize Picks app today and use code SECU for a first deposit match up to $100. That's promo code SECU to redeem your deposit match bonus up today. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with our friends over at Prize Picks. Must be 18 years old to purchase. Not available in all states. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER. Holy cow. When you talk about the walk-ons, none are better than the SEC traditions. You have the 12th man, obviously with the kickoff teams. I think last year they had a fumble recovery, which was amazing. That always gets the sideline pumped. That gets the crowd on its feet. It's nothing short of awesome to watch 11 individuals go down as a unit, knowing that they're just fighting for a roster spot, hoping to stay on. They're paying with their own money to be on this team, putting their bodies on the line in practice. They're tackling dummies, and yet they still go out and they play. Some of the best walk-ons have come from the SEC. You have Stetson Bennett, who won back-to-back national titles. Baker Mayfield, who won a Heisman Trophy. Rodrigo Blankenship, one of the best kickers in the SEC, was a walk-on. One of the most unique walk-ons in all of college football. There's so many great walk-ons that have come through college football. And the fact that the NCAA is wanting to get rid of this is unbelievable. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at this right now. So according to Yahoo Sports' Ross Dellinger, the NCAA proposal would be considered by power conference leaders would limit rosters to potentially as few as 85 to 95 players. The concept was brought up as part of what could be a sweeping and historic transformation within college sports based on settlement agreements for the 3 antitrust lawsuits against the NCAA. Now, if you remember, we talked about a lawsuit that was going on in the NCAA right now that involved former players that did not receive compensation from the league to pay for what they did in college. So it's proposed that up to $250,000 could be paid to each player for their contributions of what they did on the field. But it's supposed to, so here's the 3 states. You have House versus the NCAA, Hubbard and Carter against the NCAA. They're supposed to feature as much as $2.9 billion in back damages for former players, a future revenue sharing model with current athletes, and an overhaul of the NCAA scholarship and roster structure. Now, you may be saying, well, I mean, just use NIL money. That's the new scholarship now. Well, you're talking about walk-on players that are not widely known coming out of high school. Everybody's going to say, well, Cormani McClain's a walk-on. Cormani McClain has NIL opportunities already when he stepped in Gainesville. He comes from a prestigious college in Colorado who pushed many NIL deals, even for guys that really didn't get paid a whole lot. So to say Cormani McClain is really a walk-on, he's really not. He's just coming on as a walk-on, but he's getting paid NIL money to pay for his scholarship. So really, this is just another NIL scholarship that he's getting paid. So under the current rules, there is not a hard cap on how many players a football team can have rostered. Remember, so in a game, you can't have more than 70. FBS teams, they're limited to 85 full scholarship players a year. For the FCS, it's 63 just because of the size of the university. In a given year, when you look at teams like Nebraska or Texas A&M or any other school like that, they feature about 115 or more every year. So the new rule would be limiting the number of walk-ons a team could keep rostered. So it would be so you wouldn't be able to see the kickoff team for Texas A&M anymore. And that would be disastrous. It would really just kill the point of the walk-on. The walk-on is there for a reason. Okay? If high school recruiting would be dead if this is the case. Because everybody's now just going into the transfer portal now. Everybody that is looking for their next big-time recruit is going into the portal. Guys that were 5 4-stars that didn't play much at their first school at a big-time P5 program, they're going to go to another P5 in the portal, go get money, and they're going to use them to fill out their roster. So when you look with this being affecting football, this would allow for other sports to potentially receive more full scholarships. For example, baseball. The NCAA only allows for about 12 scholarships a year. But the new model would allow all 32 roster spots on a team if the school chooses to do so. But this blows my mind because of how important the walk-on is to a football team. Everybody thinks, oh, it's just a walk-on. You can easily replace them. Okay, that's fine. You can have your opinion, and that's completely okay with me. But the walk-on is one of the most important things for a college football team. Not only does it fill out the roster, it also gives extra bodies. They're the ones that are giving a look. Those are the ones that you may find hidden gems in. So if you're going to get rid of walk-ons, this is a big problem. And again, the NCAA should not be involved in any of this. They are the most corrupt organization in all of college sports. This is a group that has limited money being paid to athletes up until 3 years ago. They're going to set a salary cap for how much these guys can make. So they're going to just screw off everybody else that come out from high school recruiting. And it seems like with the addition of the portal and with NIL, it seems like high school recruiting is dead. And Matt Rule went on SiriusXM College Sports Radio and talked about this. This is what his quote was. I think it'd be awful. I think a lot of things are being kind of said right now. I think there's the kind of wait and see how it ends up because that might not happen. But if it does, I think it would be just an awful thing. For every player that ends up with a high-end commercial, there's 100 players that are, becoming better people by having played college football and being part of a team. And those are the people that usually end up running our country, running our corporations, running our businesses. I mean, we spent all this time talking about what great things college football does. And now if we take it away from a bunch of people, I think it would be really, really sad. So basically what he's saying is if we take away these opportunities for the walk-on athletes, the entire fabric of college football is just going to get screwed. And it sucks. It's real. I feel for these guys if this is to happen. Dabo Swinney also said a lot about this. He said it would be the worst thing that he's ever heard. Because if you remember back in 1988, the NCAA limited their roster limitations from I think it was just over 100 to like 90 or so players. And then they did it again in the mid 90s when they went from like 95 to 85 scholarship players, which kind of sucks, you know? But at the same time, the business side of it is that the schools can't afford to have all these scholarships for these different guys. There had to have been a limit. That's why they limited it so much. But the fact that the walk-on is going to get eliminated, so you're just saying bye to those guys that came through here. You're saying forget you to the Brandon Burlsworths, the Baker Mayfields, the Hunter Renfros, the J.J. Watts, the Clay Matthews. You're just telling them to go screw off because, we appreciate what you did. You did great things whenever you were here, but we don't need you anymore. So we're gonna do this. It doesn't make sense because there's already a roster limit with 120 being that in football. If you eliminate this to 85 on the roster, the walk-on is going to get eliminated. Terrible decision. You're going to have an uproar in college football, and the NCAA is just going to continue to prove themselves as the most corrupt organization in all of college sports.